Mike, we see the stats, Major Williams leading the league in pass knockdowns and some other good things he's doing, obviously. But for you, what impresses you the most about the season that he's having for you guys?
We talked about it before. I think early in the season, teams tried him quite a bit and, got behind him and scored, and didn't phase him, not one bit. He lined up, the next play and played hard, competed. I think of that ball that Kenny's got in the end zone that he comes, I think Major had his eyes wrong for a split second, and Kenny's by him, and he doesn't give up, runs a good distance, and punches it out right at the last second. And, that desire to compete, besides his skill level, he's, physically he's good size, but his desire to compete, his ability at that position to just slough off anything that happens and go on to the next, and some versatility too. He can do a bunch of different things for us. So he's been a willing participant on special teams. And he's good. I really enjoy him. I enjoy watching him work, but I enjoy the guy he is too.
You guys lost some veteran DBs in the offseason. How confident were you guys that you guys would have a rookie DB like Major that could step up and fill in for you guys?
Yeah, I think as the offseason goes along, the scouting department, they're very confident that we'll find people that can fill the role. And I thought we had a good training camp and a good group in there, so he emerged.
How has Trey Vavel grown as a defensive back?
Yeah, he has. He is, once again, hyper competitive for a guy who probably doesn't carry a lot of weight. He packs a big punch, and that desire to stick his nose in there in tough areas is certainly present. You see it in the return game. He's not afraid of anything. So he brings that to the defensive side too. I think it's just a matter of a little bit more experience, getting his eyes a little bit right, and as you try to break some habits that he would have, and get him doing a few more things that JY wants him to do on a more consistent basis. He certainly could be a top-notch defensive back in this league too. Just it would take a bit of time. That's all, and his value in the return game is such that he probably doesn't get as much time as he probably deserves.
Dietrich Nichols, is he going to be available this week?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you look at your guys' offense right now, I think one category that kind of jumps out is that you guys are last, and I think it's plays 30-plus yards. Why aren't we seeing more kind of explosion plays out of this offense?
Well, we want them. There's these the metrics that everybody looks at. Explosive plays would be one of them that you need to be good at and better at it than we are right now. So sometimes you dial up shots and they're just deeper than you are, and it doesn't work out, right? But you try to get your guys matched up and get them into single coverage and try and scheme things, and sometimes you got a good call and they've got a defense for it. So I think there'd be a variety of reasons. If you look at any of our shot plays, I think you would, you look at each play individually and you would see a reason why it did or didn't work, and we keep working on the things that didn't work and try and get them better. I think explosive run plays are really about, downfield blocking, making sure that once we get to that next level that their receivers are inside, and they've done a great job from the beginning of the year, from training camp to this point. They've done a great job at working at downfield blocking and getting on the right leverage and working through an entire play, because the explosive runs, by the time it gets to them, it's a long play already. So, for the receiving group to keep working that long through a play is pretty cool. They've done a great job of it.
Mike, what's the next step in the quest for consistency?
Say that again?
What's the next step in the quest for consistency? It seems like there's been flashes on both sides in certain halves and, sometimes 3/4 of the game, but what's it like to still be searching for that at this stage of the season?
Yeah, it can be frustrating for everybody. I imagine the group is, like the entire team would be wanting to be more consistent. I think you from the coaches through the players. We keep looking at the process, keep validating what you're doing, add little things to your routine, prior to a play that allow you to have greater communication, greater understanding, and therefore greater consistency. From a coaching standpoint, once again, I think anytime something doesn't really work or shows up more often, you then go back to how you're coaching it. What are you doing? What's your indie look like? How are you adding something into practice that can create a more consistent habit, for the guys? And then, once again, some of these things are habits and they just need to be built over time.
And then, what are some of the benefits to dealing with adversity in the first half of the year that can be helpful as you push down the stretch run?
Yeah, it's talked about in all realms, sport, business, wherever, I think the point would be to learn from it, and I think our guys do.
On that topic of flushing it, Major Williams, players say it, coaches say it. It obviously is so much easier said than done. Like, what are the signs that you look for in a player that he is that guy? I mean, I'm sure you give room to improve on that stuff, but like, what are the signs that a guy's truly not living in the past?
Well, I'll tell you an easy one. At practice, are they stopping to figure out what just happened? Is there a pause before they run, or are they just going? If they're just going all out, even though they know they've made a mistake, they're not stopping to process it, right? They just go right away. Some people stop, and there's that momentary pause. They know something's not exactly right. They pause for a split second, and then they start sprinting again. Major's a guy that, to me, from early on, just kept going all the time, right? That's one little thing that I would look for on how guys are functioning, right? And then you just see it in his play, because that spot you can get picked on. They can keep coming your way if they think they got something on you, and he just kept working, which was and a really high work rate. So it's pleasant to see.
How would you compare the leadership group for this team today versus 3 years ago? You lost a handful of big presences, guys that set the tone on and off the field. Like, I don't think it's bad now, but it feels different.
Yeah, I think you're right when you say we've lost some big name guys that were leaders. But I think all the while there are guys filling in the gaps underneath, and the leadership was never by one or two players. It was always, years ago, there was 17 guys that could lead the team. And then you get to a point where you're at 9, and then you're up to 11 and 7. Whatever it is, guys come and go and move. But it was never one person. I thought there was always a core of guys that chose to lead the team together and were on the same page and spent a lot of time together, no matter what their positions were, spent a lot of time together talking about the team. And that hasn't changed. There's still a great nucleus, a great core of guys that care so much about it that they put time into leading together.
Just last one for me. The big opponent ahead here. I know you don't look weeks beyond, but you got a pretty heavy schedule in the coming weeks here. What do you see against a Montreal team for well coached, obviously strong 3-phase football? Like, doesn't feel like there's much of a margin for error for this week.
No, and that's good. We shouldn't be looking for a larger margin of error. We should be looking to play. Nobody plays a perfect game, but you should be looking to play better and better every week, and we should be looking to play as tight, as clean a game as possible. I mean, when you play a team like Montreal or someone of their ilk, you got to play a better game than you're playing. You can't really afford a lot of mistakes. There will be mistakes. Will they capitalize on them when they make mistakes? Because they'll make mistakes too. Are we going to capitalize on them? I think this is where the games get really fun. Yeah, I think it's awesome, and I think we're close.
First time I've ever asked you about the halftime show, probably. The North Dakota Marching Band is coming up here to do the halftime show. There's a group of fans online, or just some fans online, that are saying tone-deaf decision with the way Canada and the U.S. relations are right now. We should cancel it. Some are saying we should boo them. Others are saying, nah, that's not the Canadian way, that's not polite, we should maybe just leave our seats, just as a symbolic show, you know, we
I-
have symbolic shows of
Yeah.
unity. What do you say to the fans?
I tell you what I think. I think we should, like the 2021 West Final, be out of our seats singing along and cheering and rocking the stadium. I mean, these are young men and women that are longing to be a part of something and entertain a crowd, and they get a thrill out of entertaining and being a part of a team, and they're a part of a team. And I think, I mean, some of them might not even be old enough to vote, right? But I know as a parent, I understand how tough society can be on young men and women these days, and I think we should damn well support them. They're kids that are here to entertain us, and I think we should get out of our seats, and if we know the song, we should all sing along with it.
As a proud Canadian, though, you probably get the smaller part of it
Yeah,
too, right?
sure, I'm a very proud Canadian, but I don't think politics enter into this entertainment realm when you're dealing with university kids that are coming up here to put on a show.
Thanks. Madison? Yeah.
Coach, there seems to be a certain level of kind of awareness about what you guys need to work on, clean up. A lot of guys talk about just putting kind of all the pieces together. When you kind of look on the on-field result, you guys haven't really executed in that complete 60. Why do you think this team is capable of playing a full 60 in a complete game?
Yeah, well, first off, I'm extremely pleased that there's a level of awareness that we need to execute better. I mean, that's the start right there, right? If they know, if there's some self-awareness, then they're working on it. Then they're checking their process. They're trying to fit little things into their process that's gonna allow them to execute at a higher level more consistently. So that right there tells me we're on our way. Like I said a second ago, I said we're close. And I've said it for a few weeks, we're getting down to fine details here and refining processes, and I think that's why I think there's so much hope, and I mean, I'm excited about it.
I guess as a follow-up then, considering it's more than halfway through the season, do you think that you guys should have already kind of gotten to that point of executing and having a complete game by now?
Oh, yeah, as a head coach, you'd love to say that. We're just not there yet. So what am I gonna do, rue the last 10 games, or are we gonna look forward and try and be better, right? I think that's where we're headed. We're headed in that direction, and we'll get there. Later than some people like, for sure, later than the team wants, than the players want, no doubt. But we're not gonna stop trying.
Did you think it would take this long, I guess, going into the season?
I usually don't put a timeline on anything like that. I mean, there are so many other factors that come into play in a season that you cannot foresee or account for, right? You just can't. So you take every week as you get it, you know, and you look for improvement. You look for some of the small wins outside of the game that you're like, this guy's in the right direction. This guy's heading in the right direction. This group's heading in the right direction. So you know, there's, like I said, there's so many factors that you just can't plan for necessarily. If you're thinking about how the season's going to go, I think you're wasting your time.